My name is Daniel Ooko, and I've just been interviewed by Keith Andrew on the Keith Andrew Network for the second time. I feel what he's doing is, again, a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful job, and please support him.
You're watching the one and only Keith Andrew Network, and we're coming from you from the home of the United Kingdom for another special UK edition of Keith Andrew Network. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is our guest. He has been on our show not once, this is the second time, but the first thing I want to do is for people in England who want to know, what is the Keith Andrew Network? The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. Just prove to them, it's them out to something. And the following is brought to you by getting off your ass and getting vaccinated. It's very important to stay healthy, being safe, get vaccinated. The boosters are completely free. Once everyone is vaccinated, things will be somewhat normal. What is normal? Well, it's better than what we're doing right now. I don't want to wear a mask for the rest of my life. So the following is brought to you by Get Off Your Ass and Get Vaccinated. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to our guests. First question I want to ask you is introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, so I've been on this show twice now. This is my second time. So my name is Daniel Ooko. I'm an aspiring theatre, film, and voice actor from London. Currently, what I'm doing is I'm working on a radio show. I'm working on a radio show called Decolonizing Medicine. So that keeps me busy on DTA Live Radio. So that's on the Decolonizing the Archive website. So check it out when it's up. And right now, I'd say I'm pretty chill. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get back on this.
No, absolutely. And the last time I checked, you were a professional actor and voiceover. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is the biggest change you made in your voiceover acting classes? Well, not classes. You could teach classes if you want. But what was the biggest change you made in your acting and voiceovers?
In terms of like my careers?
Yes.
I would say the biggest change that I've made in my voiceover career that I would say is finally I've actually settled down on a studio. And by studio, I mean like my closet. So basically now I've kind of renovated it. I've made it a space that I can work in, that I can actually make proper recordings on like very good schedules. So it's very convenient for me. In terms of my general acting ability and my general acting career, I would say not really much. There hasn't really been much going on. Mainly the voiceover work has really kept me going through this period right now.
Absolutely. And actually, while we're on the subject, how have you been during the whole quarantine? Last time I checked, I think Australia is still on lockdown. Is England still on lockdown?
No, actually, us over here in London, we're actually lifted. The restrictions are lifted for now, at least. We may go back in October, but for now we're free basically. So we're calm, I would say.
Absolutely. It's always things. We can say it moves like a bowel movement. Things are slowly moving, but at least you get to see progress. Not a lot of it, but at least...
But something.
Yes. But compared to 2 years ago when the shit was hitting the fan.
Yeah. Initially, the first lockdown, it was actually a fully fledged lockdown, as in like there wasn't many people out on the streets. You couldn't go out unless it was for exercise or getting food. But now it's like, it's basically normal. Just more people are wearing masks now, really.
I haven't been to the mall, but I used my dad's story. He recently went to the mall because I got a full size bed because I got tired of sleeping in a twin, and he got a king, and so we needed sheets. Well, he needed sheets anyway. I was like, well, you have sheets in the closet, so use them. They're queen size, but hey, whatever. It saved money. But he needed sheets. And he said it was the most depressing thing he has ever experienced. Now, of course, my dad went through a lot of depressing things, but the mall was empty. The shelves were bared. There was no people. And it's kind of like, how is the mall supposed to stay open when there's no one here? You have like one or two people around doing everything. And it's like, why can't people just get vaccinated and go back to work? This whole normal, and everyone makes a joke. Things won't go back to the way they were. You work from home, people won't go back into the office. Okay, look at it like this. Good thing I'm not in school anymore, and you're not in school anymore. You used to love to have snow days. Now, nope, no more snow days. If there's a snow day, your ass is on a computer. You're actually can't escape it. I mean, yeah, you could escape it if you want to, but then whatever, you accept the consequences. But there's no more snow days. Now people are doing like office work from the home. Yeah, it's nice to be in the office, but if it's what I mean, for an example, is if the roads are horrible, you can work from home. That's a perfect example. Why put your life in risk? Do something you can do from home. But that being said, it's nice to get out, human interaction. But I mean, in a way, yes, it's beneficial. I can't drive, part of my disability. So I can have Instacart bring food to me. But it's nice to know you have the option of going out and doing things. So, you do the pros and the cons. What about you? What's your opinion about it?
About this whole pandemic thing, about
Well,
how
for an
we're
example, do you prefer to have food delivered to you or going out? Do you like working from home or going out?
So in terms of like food, I prefer it being delivered to me. It's very convenient, but it is quite costly. So I need to kind of set back on that. In terms of like working, I do prefer working outside. Like I do prefer going out to work, because staying indoors and working, it gets dull. It gets really dull. And like when I live in London, it's like going out is pretty fun, because I don't really live in the most glamorous part of London, right? But whenever I do go out to work, I know that I'm gonna go to a really nice place, and then I'm gonna come back and just have that memory in my head, ready for the next day. But working from home, sure, it's calm for like a week or two, but then after like 3 to 4 weeks, it's just really boring, really, because you're just basically alone. Like I do voiceovers, so I basically spend most of my time on my own, just writing whatever script that I need to write, and just recording in my small bloody freaking closet, just not really interacting with other people. So I do prefer to go out to work, engage with people, see the sights and all that and all that kind of stuff.
Well, let me ask you this, because you do different voices. Do you think you have like a split personality where you can actually have a conversation with yourself?
I do that all the time, really, like, because I'm not really like someone who goes out often anyway. Like apart from work, I don't really go out often, except to go get some stuff from the store. But like, so I usually just have conversations with myself. Like if I've got a decision to make, I usually try to think it out with myself, and just talk to myself. And the way it just keeps me busy, really. You know what I mean? That and playing on the PS3 and all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't say that I have split personality though. But then again, it's like when I'm alone in the house, like I do whatever voice I can in it, because there's no one else in the house. This moment dies with me. No one else has to know, so I just do it, and it's actually quite fun. But yeah, that's kind of what I do in terms of talking to myself, really.
It would be funny, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I would think of something, and then it pops in my brain. And I hear it like I just answered myself, like, where the hell did that come from? I didn't know the answer, but all of a sudden it pops in.
Mm.
You know, it's funny. My niece, I said to my niece, we were playing Uno. And I say, go, oh, Uncle Keith, it's your turn. I'm like, sorry, I had a brain fart. I think I told you this, I don't remember. And it's like, oh, Uncle Keith, it's your turn. And sorry, like, sorry, I had a brain fart. What's that mean? Does that mean when your brain farts?
It's just one of those moments where your brain just stops working. You know, just yeah. I remember those times back in high school. You know, just sometimes when you're just in class and just things aren't clicking. So yeah, I remember I do have my brain farts.
So the next one I want to ask you is, what do you consider the highlight of your voiceover career and acting career?
I would say the highlight of my voiceover career so far has to be doing this radio show that I'm doing. You know, it's really the first voiceover gig that I've had where it's consistent. So, and it's also one, because it's consistent, it means that I can keep on improving and developing, you know, with each episode that I record and do. So this is very pivotal for me. And I'd say it's definitely my most like notable and like my most accomplished thing that I'm doing in terms of voiceover. In terms of acting, I would say it has to be joining the National Youth Theatre, being accepted into the National Youth Theatre, because I joined in 2019, early 2019. And this came after I just got done doing my GCSEs in high school. So I had recently just made the shift into acting. And usually with joining the National Youth Theatre, many people don't get in on their first attempt. And it was my first attempt. And I was young as well. So I was 17. People at times, they spend like 4 to 5 years every year trying to audition to get in. The limit for getting into NYT is 25. Some people literally, they go from like when they're 18 auditioning till 25, where it's the last time that they could really actually have the chance to audition. Yet me, I go in on my first try and I get in. That for me really solidified that, yeah, this is therefore something that I can really excel in and I should take it further. So I'd say that's basically my biggest accomplishment in acting in general.
You know, I want to ask you another hard-hitting question. I don't want you to think I'm an asshole or anything, and you can throw it back at me. Have you ever been stereotyped?
Stereotyped in what type of way? Like,
well,
in what context?
You can like appearance, you know, like you go for, I give me an example. You know, a lot of people say, you're like, oh, you'll look at me and I'm like, oh, I must have a disability. But then they like to put labels on you. It's like, for the longest time, I used to call it the boomerang. And of course, yeah, unfortunately, I labeled myself. You know, I throw the boomerang. You know, you throw it. You know, I'm disabled. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. People would feel sorry for me. And when the boomerang comes back and you whacks you upside the head, you just realize you labeled yourself as an influence and you expect people to do things for me. Now, when you do for an acting role, have you ever walked into a situation where they automatically look at you and came up with whatever stupidity they came up with? Like, you know, not to say racism is a big thing. Racism is a big thing because it's among stupid people. You can't fix stupid. Like, you numb it with a 2x4. That's what I say. And, you know, for me, people are like, oh, Keith, when we look at you, you can be a scientist. You can be this. You can be that. When you go for an audition, has people ever sized you up and say, you know what, I think you should play this role? Or I think you look at Power Rangers. You look at the horrible joke, you know, you made him the Black Ranger because he's black, or you made him the Red Ranger because he's Native American, and he's not even Native American. Have you ever felt or gone through anything like that?
I would say it's too early in my acting career to say that I have. And I would say that thankfully my agent that I have is very considerate, and she is very she's very considerate with the roles that she puts up for me. So, like, she's really out there looking out for me in terms of the opportunities there. And I'd like to say that if I ever do encounter something like that, I would have the self-respect and, the guts to just say, you know what, this is some bullshit. Let me just leave, because I'm not really trying to freaking become some stereotype and get typecast as some random ass character. Like, that's not what I've worked for. I'm not here to, be some sort of clown.
No, I agree with you, and I didn't mean to impose on you. I do apologize.
No, it's calm. No, it's calm. You actually posed it very well in it. So yeah.
Yeah, there are times where I'm not the smartest person in the world. I do a lot of stupid things, sometimes deliberately, sometimes I'm just, what's the worst that can happen? Worst thing can happen to be punched in the face. But I give you an example. I used to work over at North Face, and I was like, okay, you know what? Some time passed, 10, 14 years later. And I was like, okay, you're 14 years later, what's the guarantee those same people are still there? And what pisses me off is when you go in and the person interviewing you already made up their mind. I give you an example. I walked in the back like, oh, this is really nostalgic. I haven't been back here in a long time. Manager spins around in her stupid chair. It's like you already have your mind made up. Why am I even here? But she's like, what's the difference? Because North Face has High Vent and Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex is one. I don't know if they're in England. Gore-Tex is like waterproof. Like they make sneakers and jackets. They're their own brand, but they work with North Face. So North Face is like, okay, let's make our own brand. It's got to be called High Vent. And it's like, oh, what's the difference between Gore-Tex and High Vent? Oh, I know this. I've been having this shoved down my throat for 3 years. Gore-Tex is a separate company. High Vent, it's North Face. Nope, you're absolutely wrong. And I was like, you son of a bitch. It's like 3 years. I worked for North Face for 3 years, day in, day out. This is what they were shoving down my throat. And now 14 years later, it's like, well, they're teaching you wrong. No wonder you didn't last long on this job because you didn't know what you were doing. And it's kind of like, it's easy to point your finger and poke someone and say, you're doing that wrong. Hey, you know what? People out there probably think I'm doing my talk show wrong. It's easy to sit on your ass and poke and make fun of people trying to make a difference out there. And when you're doing you think, oh, well, criticism. If you can't take criticism, maybe you shouldn't be in this type of work. I know you've been an actor and doing voiceovers. So I bet you had a lot of people criticize you and say, well, maybe he's not a good actor. Maybe he's, okay, I admit, yes, you should have criticism and you should have competition. Competition makes you a better person. It makes you work harder and it makes you develop who you are. But there's a difference of being criticism as in, I'm not hurting your feelings. I'm just saying you can be a better person. But there's another side of that of you're just being a complete utter asshole about it. So the question I want to throw it over to you is, with everything that you accomplished, have you experienced both?
I would say the people that I've worked with, they've given me criticism, like constructive. I haven't experienced any kind of asshole type stuff, and I know that if I do, that I'll pay no attention to it, because the difference between dealing with the opinions of an asshole and dealing with constructive critiques is one you can actually develop from, you can actually use to become a better person, to become better at what you do, and the other is just going to piss you off. So I pay no attention to it because I know where it's coming from. I know that when someone makes an asshole like comment, I know that they're either just jealous or they're just not really comfortable in their own lives. So it's like I pay no attention to it. I see right through that type of shit. So it doesn't really bother me that much. I know not to pay attention to it. Like I remember doing a music video, right? So this was like my first big gig in terms of film, and millions of views. And the like to dislike ratio was pretty good, pretty standard stuff for YouTube videos. And I was looking at the comments, and 99.9% of them extremely positive. Just that 0.1% negative stuff. And when I saw it, I thought that whenever I would see something like that, I may have like a bad reaction to it. It may severely affect me. But when I saw it and I just saw how stupid the comment was, it didn't even make any sense. I was like, yo, why did you waste all that time literally typing up that damn thing? Like, you could have literally typed up something productive. Like, you could have, typed up a movie you wanted to watch. You could have typed up a job you wanted to go get. But nah, you just have to write that stupid shit and waste everyone's time, waste all freaking electricity bills. So it's like, that's kind of affecting you more than it is affecting me, because I know that I got paid and I know that I'm getting exposure. So, I'm successful here, so it doesn't really affect me that much.
Oh, I agree. Now I'm going to pass the show over to you. You can say anything, ask me anything. I have no cards up my sleeve. But the one thing I want to say about the international shows, I created for Canada, England, Australia, Japan. Japan's got to be a real pain in the ass. Not saying Japan's a pain in the ass. The time
in terms
difference,
of hours, the time difference, because between me and you is 5 hours,
right?
And as it goes on, it's probably going to be like what 10 to 12 hours, 10 to 12 hour difference or something.
Well, so Australia, I can do like 8 at night, and that's like 10 in the morning. So okay, reasonable. But I'm not going to stay up to midnight to just to interview somebody. I'm not. Unless I have, if you're paying me, that's different. But, it's kind of like you work around it.
Yeah.
But like I said my piece. This is your time. How have you been? It's great to catch up with you again. Yeah. And one thing I do want to say, I do apologize, is it's uncensored. It's freedom of speech, self-expressing. Occasionally for my season, each season of the Keith Andrew Network, it has a different rating. But this, I want to be more fun, but I won't take up your remaining time. This is your time.
Cool. Well, I'd say the first question I have to ask you is, how are you? How are you doing? How have you been since the last interview we did?
Yeah, pretty good. Like I said, I created the Canada show, UK, Australia. I recently did 2 episodes of each. And you're going to be number 3. I think number 3 or 4 of UK. Ooh. Canada and England are not a problem. Australia, not a problem. Germany, not that I know of, was a problem. But I want more people from Japan. I'm like, well, you have to wake up early. I'm like, well, what time early? Because I'm not really a morning person. But, I'm up to 900 episodes. It's January. Will be start of the 900 to 1,000. Usually takes me about a year and a half. Depends on how fast I crank out the episodes. This, I don't know if I told you, this June 10th, for anyone who is interested in being part of it, June 10th, 8 p.m., say in 5 hours, that's 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 12 o'clock your time, I believe, 8 U.S.
We're ahead. We're ahead of you. So that's I think 9, 10, 11, 12. That's one in the morning here.
Well, I would love to have you a part of it. It's going to be my 9-year anniversary. The reason I'm doing it late is people was like, well, you made it too early. Can you make it an hour later? I'll tell you what, 8 o'clock, it's going to be perfect. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But like
That's fine.
And to tell you a little about it, 9-year anniversary, people would say, what do you like about the Keith Andrew Network? Why you support them? It's pretty much a normal conversation.
Right.
Was there
I'll say, keep going.
No, I was gonna say, was there any other questions you wanted to talk about? Anything you want to promote?
So like I'd say the thing that I want to promote mainly is the radio show that I'm working on. So it's called Decolonizing Medicine. It's going to be on DTA Live Radio, which will be hosted on the website decolonizingthearchive.com. So do check that out when the episodes are up. I'll keep everyone posted on my Instagram, which is danielookovo, which is all one word, lowercase. So I'd say that's definitely something that I wanted to plug in. And in terms of another question I wanted to ask you, I'd say, how's Richard Epcar? How's he doing? Is he good? Have you talked to him recently?
On and off. I've been trying to do a follow-up with him, but he's been really busy. But from the last time I messaged him, he said he's doing pretty good. I'm going to reach out to him again. There's a lot of people from season 1, season 2, I would love to have back on the show. And to be honest, there's some of them are like, you know what? It wasn't a good experience, but I'm a good person. I'm willing to give you another opportunity. And it's kind of like, hey, if he's willing to give you another opportunity and you throw it back, that's more on them than you. If that makes any sense. But I do have some great ideas for you off the air. But how can our viewers follow you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? I know you mentioned Instagram, but I just want to do it one more time.
No, that's not my Instagram is my main one. So Daniel Ooko VO. So it's all lowercase. It's all one word. So Ooko spelt OOKO, and so that's my main account that I'd like to plug in.
No, absolutely. And now I have a couple questions off the air, but last thing I want to ask you is, when I approached you to be a guest on my show for a second time, what made you say yes? How do you feel now, and where do you recommend it?
So what made me say yes was because the first interview went so well. And also, Keith, you're a very nice person to talk to. It was very, very pleasant, very routine, so it was like, why would I say no? Just take the time to have a nice convo. It's definitely something that I would like to do. What was the second question?
Oh, would you recommend it to other people?
Oh yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah. Just you want to listen to it, on your way to work, wherever it's convenient. It's kind of like a podcast. So you can definitely tune into that. And what was the last one?
Oh, that was the last one. But I do have questions for you off the air. But wrapping up for our viewers, make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Facebook channel. Until we meet again, I catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.